Hello, Hamish here from mortgagesonline.co.nz. How much do you have to pay to hold on to an investment property? That's what I'm going to get into today. It's a little bit more convoluted these days to kind of calculate it with the new taxes, but it can be done. I'm just going to get into some very generic numbers. Obviously, your accountant's, the best place to visit for actual, to drill down to exact numbers. But this should give you a really good idea of kind of how to kind of back of the envelope kind of calculations. This will kind of help with that. So, when you are buying a property, that you got your income, your rent, expenses. Now, for this particular example, I'm just going to throw some numbers out here just so you can kind of work your own particular ones out. Let's say the rent was 25k. Let's say your rates was about let's call it $2,000. Insurance maybe $1,000. Excuse my writing there. Maintenance about $1,000, and interest. Let's say a loan of $550k at about 4%. You'd be looking at something like $22k. Now, point of caution here: interest only is not a given. It's something you have to let your advisor, a good mortgage advisor like myself, know about beforehand. Well, we default to try and getting you interest only for 5 years when you're getting investment property, but it is not. It is something we have to apply for to make sure you're able to get that. So, if you don't get that approved, then obviously you might need to think about principal payments there as well. But in this example, if we look at the difference between this and these things, you're probably paying 1k out of your pocket to hold on to this property before the taxes, okay? Because, how do you work out the taxes? Well, with the change in terms of the tax rules lately, these things are the only things that are deductible from your rent, right? Interest is something that is not deductible anymore for existing homes. And I'll talk a little bit about new homes after this, at the end of this. But under this example, if it's an existing home, the government would almost say, okay, right, you actually have kind of made 21k, okay, if you excluded the interest. So this would come down to your personal tax rate, but if we average, let's say, at 30%, so you'd actually have to pay tax on that at your personal tax rate for that year. So in this example, there'd be another $6,300 to pay in taxes. So effectively, you would be paying about $7,300 per year to hold on to this property, or put it another way, $600 per month roughly for something that might be for your retirement. In terms of, I'm not going to get into detail in terms of capital gains or perceived capital gain, but if inflation caused things to kind of be, for properties to be running at price increases that might seem like 6% over the long-term averages, then for a property of around 550k, you would probably expect roughly about 33k in the initial years. Obviously, that's compounding and it might change in the later years, but still not a bad equation if you're trying to inflation-proof your retirement contributions. Now, into the new build part, right? So the key differences with new builds and what's considered a new build, because it's not only a new build that's considered a new build. Interest is tax deductible. So in a new build, if it was like for like in terms of the prices, these taxes would not have to be paid. So suddenly you would be paying your taxes wouldn't be as high. In saying that, another point to note about a new build is that the yield might be lower. So your initial purchase price might be more than 550, might be, say, just a gut feeling from me, maybe 750, and your rent would be higher, but maybe not that much higher, so maybe 30k or something close to in terms of rent. So your yield might be lower, but your maintenance would pretty much be zero, and your tax bill would be lower. But obviously, if you're borrowing 750k to buy a new build, your interest bill would be higher. So it kind of ends up similar kind of position. But there is another difference with new build and old in that what's considered a new build, you may not have to pay taxes if you sell it after 5 years, whereas with existing it's 10 years. Now, I keep saying what's considered a new build because taking an old property and creating another dwelling through maybe building new kitchen, bathrooms and things, that might be considered a new build as well as maybe bringing a relocatable on site or building another house, right? So these things are being kind of worked through and cemented. But hopefully that has been insightful. I mean, if you need to just a sounding board for your strategy, your mortgage strategy in terms of investments, feel free to contact us and the team, mortgagesonline.co.nz. Hopefully that has been insightful for you. Thank you for listening.